All aboard your tech news, games, and deals caboose. First up, we have some AMD promotions and some leadership changes. And then we have some social aspects with Facebook and some different messaging changes. So let's jump right into some tech news for today. So first up, we have AMD pushing the AMD plus AMD strategy with executive promotions. So a couple people get promotions, and basically the goal here is users should want to pair Ryzen with Radeon or EPYC with Instinct. So basically CPU and GPU, they're kind of grouping together the different sides of AMD and having them more overall. So Darren Grasby is going to become the SVP and Chief Sales Officer, covering both consumer and enterprise, as well as becoming the president of AMD globally, basically. So Darren has been a good guy. And then we have Dr. Sandeep Chanakashu, and he is hired from his role from BlackBerry to become the Executive Vice President of Computing and Graphics. So again, bringing CPU and GPUs together under the same leadership. And then Mark Papermaster is promoted to Executive Vice President. He's just an overall good guy, apparently. And then Forrest Norrod is responsible for both EPYC and Radeon Instinct product lines. So bringing the EPYC processing to the GPU graphics stuff together. So this is the idea here, is that AMD is going to prioritize a synergy between Ryzen and Radeon, or EPYC and Instinct, the enterprise GPU stuff. So we'll have to see where this goes, as we're all excited for higher performance 7nm desktop Ryzen 3000 and such. And then we get some pictures of all the executive team. So hopefully we get some cool stuff out of this. Better leadway, I don't know, but cool there. And then next up we have Anantech with an Intel 10nm Cannon Lake Core i3-8121U deep drive review. So we get to see a cool CPU from a hard to reach place. Basically, they had to get their contacts through a Chinese school and work with specific distributors to actually get a hold of this laptop with this Cannon Lake processor. So they do a pretty in-depth review. We're not going to be able to go over too much of it because I still have to check it all out myself. But basically, we're seeing a 2-core, 2.2 gigahertz, 3.2 gigahertz boost CPU. This is just an i3. And memory supports includes LPDDR4, one of the few Intel processors to do so, but also processor has AVX 512 capabilities, so some enterprising class stuff not normally seen in low-end chips, but now in low-end chips. So they go over a lot of the different details. If you want to get into the new Cannon Lake 10nm process, you can check all that out, but we're going to skim some of the cool little details. So basically the base model retailed for $450 from our source in China. That's the 4 gig 500 gig hard drive, and they went for the 650 version, so they doubled the RAM and they went with an SSD. So there is that. It looks like they got their own SSD. I believe I read them to do that. I'm not sure, but anyways, they go over the whole review. It gets pretty in-depth. There's like 10 different pages and they're all really long. So we'll just go over some of the memory and power graphs they go over a little bit. So we get some latency clocks versus the i3-8130U. This is a Kaby Lake processor. So we're gonna get higher latencies on this memory profile graph. And it looks like they do some power stuff here. So trading blows kind of. And then they have some other graphs at 2.2 gigahertz. It looks like the Kaby Lake is beating the Cannon Lake, but we'll have to see with other benchmarks like some GPU oriented 3D Mark physics stuff, graphics. And we get to see the i3-8130U 15 watt power kind of in the middle of the pack here, trading blows with some of the 65 watt and 35 watt CPUs from AMD and Intel. So somewhere in the middle of the pack there. And then again with the 3D Mark Physics Cloud Gate. So you can check out all these different. Here's Firestrike Ultra with 5,424 score, again in the middle. So it's an improvement over this i3-8121U. So this is they have it on here twice, 81. Oh no, this is the 30U versus the 21U. So interesting little graphs. You have to check out all the different things and check out the conclusion too. It gets pretty in depth there. So let's jump over to some social stuff with Facebook. Zuckerberg plans to integrate WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook Messenger all together. Pretty insane. So what they're kind of trying to do is basically make it cross messaging. So this is going to take a little while, but this is kind of what they're working on. So again, messaging services, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, and the company's sprawling division at a time when its business has been battered by scandal. So we won't go over too much political stuff, but the service will continue to operate as standalone apps, but their underlying technical infrastructure will be unified. So again, to make across the platforms for the first time, allowing people to message and communicate. So we are expecting this year or early 2020. So we got a little while to wait, but we're going to see prioritization on end-to-end encryption. So everything will be private and secure, hopefully. And in a statement, Facebook actually responded to this. They're going to build the best messaging experience we can. And people want messaging to be fast, simple, reliable, and private. I would agree with private for a lot of people are concerned with that. So we will see how this goes if they merge all three together, which they're not doing, but would be a cool name if they did try to merge all three together. So that's going to affect 2.6 billion people, and they'll be able to communicate with each other, hopefully within this year or next. So that is Facebook's changes. We also have some YouTube. An official blog was posted today, and they are concerned a little bit about the recommendations about some certain borderline, not clearly in violation of, but close to it, some of the recommendations they've been doing. So they're going to reduce the recommendations you're going to see on YouTube for borderline content, for content that could misinform users in harmful ways, such as phony miracle cures for serious illness, claiming the earth is flat, or making blatantly false claims about 9/11. And so basically they're saying this will apply to less than 1% of the content on YouTube, which is quite a lot of content considering how big YouTube is and how long they've been doing a video service. So that's like saying 1% of people on the earth can only watch a certain channel of YouTube. That's a bad example, but either way. So recommendations for search, if you're doing search results, this won't be applied to search results, or recommendations for channels you're subscribed to, basically. So if you're into that genre, you shouldn't be too affected, or if you're looking for it through actual search, you shouldn't see any changes. So this change relies on a combination of machine learning and real people. So the algorithms are being taught by people, and this is going to start, it looks like, in the US for a very small amount of videos, and then it will obviously gradually expand. So get ready for some recommendation changes to less than 1% of YouTube videos. And lastly, we have Reddit is excited for right to repair and is already hurling into action in 2019, just 3 weeks into the new year. So this is iFixit posting this, and they go over a lot of the different accomplishments and the history of what's going on over the last year or two. So the right to repair is basically repairing cell phones. A lot of manufacturers have kind of made it hard or difficult to repair stuff, so they could potentially get more sales or have to repair it themselves and be able to pay whatever that is for a fee. So basically, over the last few years, the Ragtag Right to Repair Coalition has scored a number of victories, legalizing cell phone unlocking in Congress and getting the FTC to rule warranty void if removed, stickers null and void. That was a big one. So when you started to open up a phone or something, you would see stickers that wouldn't allow you to repair it if you messed with them. There's a lot of water stickers and stuff. So there's that. And then convincing the U.S. Copyright Office to grant a number of repair exemptions to federal copyright law. So we also get to see Right to Repair made groundbreaking headway on the state level. 19 states to introduce right to repair legislation. That is more than double the 12 repair-friendly states in 2017. So we're seeing a lot more states get into this. Also, the European Commission is also voted in favor of a series of proposals mandating that refrigerators, TVs, and other large appliances be designed for non-destructive disassembly, making them easier to repair. So all your appliances at home in Europe should start to be designed more repair friendly. So you won't have to buy a new one every single time something small goes wrong. And they argue, so here is, they kind of make a big example out of Apple. Apple's a pretty big target, and there's obviously tons of other manufacturers who are doing it as well, making repair more difficult. But basically they argue Apple publishing repair information threatens their intellectual property and provide consumers with it being too dangerous. They could harm themselves, they could stab a battery, it could explode, something could happen. So Brian Engelhard is a repair shop owner in Portland, and basically said that if an Apple can hire an 18-year-old kid to fix your battery, an independent store can find qualified people to do it also. So that's a good argument, they say, and I would tend to agree with that, and it's a pretty good argument. So you can check out this article. You can check out all the links to the different battlegrounds. You can kind of join up if you're into repairing stuff yourself and get hyped for that. With that, we have Mark saying, hate FB. Apparently you don't like Facebook, but you are angry with it. So you also say you have a right to repair. Good job. So hopefully you're repairing your own stuff as well with your iFixit guides. They get pretty detailed and can help a lot. With that, we will have another episode tomorrow at 3 p.m. as well as noon for your tech and game news information. With that, we will be signing off. Pew, 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 pew.